When you begin Dishonored, Corvo is but a man. He is a peerless fighter, trained in stealth, assassination, the use of explosives, and much more. But he is, nonetheless, just a man. However, early on in the game, the Outsider will offer you the opportunity to become more, to gain power beyond mortal comprehension. And it's the powers in Dishonored that make for some of the most fun gameplay. Using powers in Dishonored opens up whole new avenues of gameplay for you. There are paths to your objective that you can only get to by using either the possession or the blink power. There are difficult enemies made far more easy by things like time stop. And if you're in a brawl against multiple enemies, nothing beats a good wind blast. So today, I wanted to go over the various powers in Dishonored, give a little demo of how they work, and talk about some potential use cases. Some powers are definitely stronger than others, but if you really want to make it work, you can. In fact, you can make the game work with no powers at all. You just might find some of your options a little more limited, and certain encounters to be a bit more difficult. To start off, a power that I feel is pretty underrated: Dark Vision. Dark Vision allows you to see the locations of your enemies. This includes seeing through walls and seeing their cone of vision. Now, on higher difficulties when enemies are more alert, they can hear you coming from farther away, so it'll be a little bit harder to take advantage of this. But if you're playing on easy or normal, then Dark Vision's incredibly powerful. In fact, Dark Vision is a critical tool if you're trying to do a non-detection run, or even if you're just trying to be stealthy and not have to get into pointless fights. The basic version of Dark Vision will allow you to see enemies through solid matter. This is good for picking up guards and making sure you're aware of that patrol that's right around the corner. If you upgrade it, you can not only see enemies, but you can also see items, and you'll be able to see their cone of vision. This is great for that moment where you want to run past when the guy around the corner just happens to be looking the other way. Even if he hears something, he'll probably think it's just the wind and go back to his business sooner rather than later. In terms of combat potential, there really isn't very much here. The whole point of Dark Vision is avoiding combat, and that's what makes it great. Dishonored supports playstyles which range from just running up to enemies and brawling with them, being the fearless fighter Corvo Attano, to the stealthy assassin that no one sees and no one knows is there. In the case of Dark Vision, it really doesn't help you with the brawling, but it's absolutely critical when it comes to stealth. The next power is Blink, and this is my personal favorite. Blink gives you a handy shortcut to the nearest rooftop. It also lets you deal with things like tall boys, and even disable those pesky automated towers. The basic Blink is fairly limited in range. The upgraded Blink allows you access to most rooftops and a lot of cooling vents on various buildings. In addition, if your Blink doesn't quite reach, you can always take that leap of faith and jump and then blink mid-jump. Blinking mid-jump like this will extend the range even more, and if you end right at the edge of an obstacle, it will allow you to grab on and jump up, landing on the surface. You can also use this to get fancy in your combat, doing things like teleporting onto a rooftop where your enemies can't reach you, or teleporting above some enemies to do a terrifying death from above. Blink's one of the most versatile powers that Corvo has at his disposal, and in addition, it's pretty cheap, so you won't be guzzling on mana potions constantly while you use it. Next up, we have Possession, another power that's very well suited to stealth gameplay. Possession level 1 allows you to control small animals like rats and fish. This gives you new ways of ingress, and allows you to pass through tunnels undetected. Sometimes you get into a secure area by killing all the guards. Sometimes you get in by stealing a key. Other times, you just upgrade your possession, walk into a guard's body, and walk right into that secured area without a question asked. If you possess a rat though, do be aware the guards have taken quite an offense to rats because of a rat plague, so don't expect a friendly reception. On the other hand, if you're possessing a guard, well, you won't be able to fight them because combat abilities and powers are locked while you're possessing a human, but they will consider you a friend, so you can walk around, do what you need to do, then dip out of sight quickly and swap back to your normal form. This means Possession is a particularly effective way to get past guarded doors, Walls of Light, as rats are often able to fit through side passages that a normal person won't find, or even just walk up to the assassination target without them being any the wiser. On the other hand, if stealth to you means that dead men tell no tales, you might want to do Bend Time. Bend Time is by far the most powerful and the most costly combat ability in Dishonored. At rank 1, it'll slow all time around Corvo for a brief duration. This turns guards and other enemies into sitting ducks. You'll have plenty of time to walk up and stick a blade wherever you please. At rank 2, you can stop time entirely. This allows you to stealth assassinate people since they literally can't see you. Time stopped, and by the time they've blinked, or by the time you can snap your fingers, well, they're dead. This ability will allow Corvo to take out large groups of enemies without ever being seen. Though do be aware that when you upgrade to stop time, while your enemies will no longer be aware of you, you'll also have a much shorter duration than slow time. And this is very expensive, so be ready to restore your mana either by drinking for a long time at a faucet, or, of course, guzzling those potions. Now, the rat plague has been a real problem in Dunwall, and that includes of rats themselves. Rats have been just flooding out of the sewers, devouring the living and the dead alike. And if you want to be part of a problem, you can with Devouring Swarm. At rank 1, Devouring Swarm will conjure a ravenous group of rats, which are very effective at consuming nearby bodies, and also pretty good at distracting guards. 3 or 4 guards will eventually kill the swarm, but it's going to take them a while, and the swarm can easily overpower a lone guard, especially if you upgrade it to rank 2. The rank 2 swarm is much larger, far deadlier, and cleans up corpses even faster. Though, if you happen to like the Devouring Swarm gameplay, I don't really advise using it against Granny Rags. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but let's just say it might get a little bit painful. Another power in Dishonored that's quite good at dealing with large groups of enemies, but feels like a bit of a waste on single enemies, is Wind Blast. Wind Blast will break doors, which is honestly a waste because you can just break them with your weapon anyway, and that doesn't cost mana. Extinguish torches, which makes it darker, not necessarily helpful, but if you have dark vision up, maybe I could see it. And of course, knock enemies down. If 4 or 5 guards come running at you, I really don't favor your odds. Sure, you can get them with a spring wire, you can throw a grenade, or maybe shoot a couple before they get to you. But if they get to you, that's going to be a tough fight. Unless you have Wind Blast. If you have Wind Blast, you can knock them flying and pick them off one by one from there. Or alternatively, if you upgrade it, you can knock them back with so much force that they're killed instantly. This is definitely a power that I do suggest upgrading. It's already fairly costly in terms of your mana, so you want to get maximum bang for your buck, which in this case means killing all the enemies rather than just knocking them down. Sure, if you knock them down, you can easily coup de grace them, but why have to worry about that when they could just be dead anyway? If you want to be a brawler up in the face of the enemy, or if you just want to roleplay as Geralt of Rivia, then I strongly suggest taking Wind Blast and upgrading it to rank 2. Now, the remaining 4 powers are passive. These offer subtle bonuses, some of which I would say are easy to pass on, and others are almost indispensable. First of all, you have Vitality, which gives you more life, and also causes your life to regenerate faster. If you're playing on higher difficulties, I strongly suggest taking 2 points in Vitality, as it's really easy to get downed otherwise. Then there's Bloodthirsty, which charges up as you fight enemies, and gives you access to powerful adrenaline kills. To start with, you can only get a single adrenaline kill, and later on you can get multiple. This is again very important if you're playing the brawler archetype, but isn't too helpful if you're going for a stealthy assassin. After all, if the enemies never see you and get stabbed in the back or shot from a distance, you're not going to be in combat long enough to actually build up adrenaline and take advantage of the kills. Then you have the power of Agility, which extends your jump range and allows you to swim and run faster. Out of all the passives, this is the one I always invest in first, and one that I'd say is pretty critical. Without it, Corvo just doesn't feel all that mobile. With it, you can escape guards by outrunning them, jump up barriers that would have stopped you before, and overall, traverse the city of Dunwall far more easily. Then finally, Shadow Kill. If you want to be stealthy, Shadow Kill is super important. But if you're going for non-lethal, then give this one a pass, because it only works if you kill enemies. I mean, kill's kind of in the name, so hopefully that should have been obvious. What Shadow Kill does is, when you stealth kill an enemy, they're turned to ash. No more bodies, you don't even need the rats. It's nice, clean, and efficient. When you upgrade it to rank 2, all enemies, regardless of if they saw you or not, instantly turn to ash when killed. No more guards finding pesky bodies and alerting their friends. Now that I've talked about the powers individually, I want to get into some examples of how you might make a build. But before I do, a quick reminder that if you're enjoying the video or you found it helpful, please leave a like, as that really helps me out in the YouTube algorithm. If you want to see more game reviews, guides, tips, tricks, and discussions of the general gaming industry, then sub to the channel and ring that bell to be notified whenever I upload. If you want to support me to help me continue to do what I do and make more videos just like this one, you can do so for as low as $1 a month over on my Patreon. That'll be down in the description. And finally, what's your favorite power in Dishonored? Let me know down in the comments. But for now, let's start talking about rune costs and how the powers combine into full builds. If you look around at various nooks and crannies in Dunwall, you'll get about 30 runes total in your playthrough. Which means you'll be able to build a pretty solid mix of powers. You won't be able to take absolutely everything, but for example, if you wanted to go for a brawler archetype, you'd have more than enough to pick up Wind Blast, which is 7 runes, Blink, which is an additional 3 for a total of 10, Vitality and Bloodthirsty for an additional 9, Bend Time for another 10, and maybe finish off with something like Dark Vision. On the other hand, maybe you want to go stealthy. Well, you can pick up the basic shadow kill for 2 points. You don't really need to worry about enemies that have seen you, because the goal is they never will. On top of that, you definitely grab agility, and probably take vitality for good measure. This costs 11 runes. From there, you grab possession, which brings you up to 19, dark vision, which puts you at 22, blink, which puts you at 25, and maybe finish off by grabbing a couple points in bend time just to get yourself out of sticky situations, and a couple points in Devouring Swarm just in case you need a handy distraction. Rats do make a very good distraction after all. And those are just a couple examples of a way that Dishonored's versatile power system comes together to let you build for your preferred playstyle. Just like how there's multiple ways to do a given mission, there's multiple ways to build Corvo Attano. But hopefully you found this guide helpful, and hopefully this helps you decide on what build to make, or what powers to experiment with. If you haven't played Dishonored before and you need a little bit more convincing, then I strongly suggest you check out my review of the game, as I very much recommend playing it, and I've got a lot of reasons why in that video. But if you have played before, what are some of your favorite powers and favorite builds? And do you have any tips regarding powers, builds, or equipment that you'd pass on to other players? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, be sure to put them down in the comments below, or join the Discord, where you can ask questions, get build help, and hang out with the community. A special thanks to my patrons and YouTube channel members. They're awesome, and they get to show it by having their name on screen in the credits of all my videos. So if you want to see your name here, be sure to check the link in the description. You can also help support me by purchasing Steam games through my Nexus. And if you want a water bottle or a cool shirt, I have a link to my official merch shop in the description. I hope you learned something today, and I hope to see you again sometime soon.